The ultimate level of human control is of our very perception of the world we're living in. First of all, you give them phones. Then you give them smartphones. Then you go to technology on the body. Next is inside the body. The other side of it is what they call the cloud. Through the medium of this cloud, they will connect to this self-replicating nanotechnology in the body. It will control what you think. Artificial intelligence becomes the human mind. That's the goal. So, is it such a stretch to think that an anti-human agenda could be perpetrated ultimately by a non-human race, a non-human force operating outside of human visual sight? That's what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. While we're arguing over whether Trump gets in or Harris. Wake the hell up, people.
You finish the book and you say, remember who you really are, live who you really are. From that, all else will follow. Be love, be wise, be heart.
The nature of who we are, where we are, and what we are is to take away so much of this fear and anxiety. We're in a place of great challenge at the moment, yeah, but we are all that is, has been, and ever can be, having a brief human experience, right?
Yeah.
That's as bad as it gets.
I got a funny feeling you're not going to be stopping or slowing down.
Oh no, I will give them the satisfaction. No. I'm here for the long haul. 72, I'm just starting.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is...
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is David Icke, the English author, broadcaster, and public speaker. For the past 35 years, you have been known as a professional conspiracy researcher, making it your mission to expose who and what is really controlling the world. Your research into prominent political figures, influential family bloodlines, global events, and more recently, the pandemic, has received widespread criticism from the mainstream media. At the same time, you have fostered a worldwide legion of fans who grow tired of the government cover-ups, big tech censorship, and global manipulation efforts that have become an increasing presence in our everyday lives. You believe that now we have reached a critical juncture for the future of humanity, where the fight to control the minds of the people has escalated through censorship and disinformation. You have said we must all come together to avert a global dystopia, and that nonviolent, non-cooperation only works through unity and respect. Your latest book, The Reveal, explores this next stage of human awareness, across a number of interlocking subjects, from who controls the world to the nature of the afterlife and everything in between. David, welcome back to London Real for your 13th appearance.
Thanks very much. I like the suit. That saves on the lighting, Brian, doesn't it?
Thank you. I want to start by reminding everyone that we are streaming live on our Digital Freedom platform, a censorship-free, independent broadcasting system built in 2020 that is of the people, by the people, for the people, and available exclusively on our website at freedomplatform.tv. Can everyone watching now please share this link via the sidebar to any and all of your social media channels, Telegram chats, and email lists? I just want to repeat that. Can everyone watching please share this link now via the sidebar to any and all of your channels? This is important. Just ask your friends and family to give us 15 minutes and they can decide. Over 75% of our viewers come from sharing these episode links peer-to-peer. So please share this now to all of your contacts and platforms. David, a pledge to you and everyone watching us, none of this conversation will be edited, censored, removed, or banned, and that anyone in the world can watch the full version of this episode for free at freedomplatform.tv. Before we start, I want to remind our viewers that here at London Real, we've been fighting for freedom since 2011. We remain one of the few global media companies whose message is not compromised by advertisers, regulators, or big tech platforms. Few updates before we get started. Our recent documentary film, We Will Not Be Silenced, featuring you, David, provides a shocking look into the Orwellian world of online censorship, where our 2 million subscriber YouTube channel was deplatformed for challenging the status quo. This serves as both a cautionary tale and an inspiration for content creators worldwide to resist big tech censorship. The film has received rave reviews, won over 20 international film festivals, and has now been watched over 14 million times on X. People can watch that film for free now at londonreal.tv/movie. Recently, David, you have been busy on X, and I want to throw out some of the things you said recently and jump into these ideas. You have said, quote, "They're setting up to play the next or the same scam again. Whatever the next, quote, pandemic is planned to be, it won't be a bioweapon virus or a virus of any kind, monkeypox or otherwise." You have said the controversy over open borders is just another attempt by the global cult to divide and rule us. You have said that same cult wants to silence all dissent and that anyone still on YouTube must be, by definition, therefore, way back from the cutting edge, end quote. From personal experience, maybe I agree. You've called Elon Musk, quote, a fraud and a wolf in sheep's clothing, claiming X is not the home of free speech, and believe you are being shadow banned. I would only push back and say maybe it's 10 times better than any big tech platform. I'd love to talk about that. You said Donald Trump is, quote, full of bullshit and called him a moron, warning the American people their only choice in the upcoming election is a woke tyranny under Harris or a Silicon Valley AI tyranny under Trump. Of course, I would also say, after that assassination attempt, maybe he is the only candidate with any hope against the deep state. You've said that what you call the mainstream alternative media, including the likes of Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Jordan Peterson, are just puppets or useful idiots that are merely exposing truths that you have been writing about in your books for the last 30 years. Of course, I recently saw Alex Jones in Texas in April, and I would say it feels like he is getting millions of people to think differently. David, you've been highly critical of Andrew Tate, calling him, quote, a professional bullshitter and criticizing his growing relationship with Candace Owens. You've called the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer a gopher for the global cult and the World Economic Forum, who is not representing the best interests of the British people, and you believe their end goal is to create a dystopian society where everyone's brain is connected to AI, creating a hive mind that would allow the cult complete control of our thoughts, actions, and beliefs. Ultimately, you believe this is an anti-human agenda, and you've asked, quote, is it really such a stretch to believe that this is the work of a non-human force, end quote. So, David, where do we start? Like old times, maybe, with the virus? Where do we start?
Well, first of all, I don't, call people like Alex Jones and stuff useful idiots in the sense of they're idiots. What I've been saying about the mainstream of the alternative media is that, during COVID, as I said at the time, the global cult, as I call it, entered the room. People who hadn't seen it before could see that the world was not like they thought it was. And there was this massive kind of, compared with what went before, this massive awakening of people to what's happening, because the world is clearly not like we've been told it is. The people running the world are not the people that we've been told it is, like presidents and prime ministers. And that was such a frickin' opportunity for that awakening consciousness, awakening awareness to expand and expand and expand and expand, to see the greater and greater and greater and greater scale of the deceit, which, as we'll get to as we go along, which I talk about at length in the reveal, ultimately the biggest deceit is the very nature of the reality that we're experiencing. And if you're experiencing a world, and like I say, we'll get into this as we go along, that's not how you think you're experiencing it, but it's a very different world that's being pulled over your eyes, then everything else that comes from that, like, is it Trump or is it Harris, and all these kind of political, religious themes and focuses kind of pale into not insignificance, but massively insignificant compared with the significance that they're given. Because, you know, if we don't address the fact and understand the fact that the world that we're experiencing is not anything like it seems to be, then no matter whether Trump wins or whether Harris wins or anybody, no matter what your religious belief, you're still going to be controlled by something way beyond that level of deceit and imposition. So the opportunity was there when COVID hit. And COVID was basically the genie out of the bottle. Not for everybody, not even for the majority, staggeringly, but for vastly greater numbers of people. The genie was out of the bottle. So if you're this global cult, you know, you're playing the COVID card. You know you're going to walk in the room now. You know that a lot of people are going to see things they hadn't seen before, because you've got a sequence to the end point, which is connecting artificial intelligence to the human brain. So artificial intelligence becomes the human mind. That's the goal. And that sequence has been playing out all the way through COVID and now. So you know you had to do that, not least because you had to get the content of the jab inside people, which is something else we need to talk about as well, which relates actually to the AI control of the human mind. And so we can't put the genie back in the bottle for everyone that's kind of woken up to the world's not like we thought it was. But what we can do is we can stop the genie going any further. And what I've seen since COVID, because when I started out 35 years ago, there was no alternative media. It didn't exist. Just a few disparate individuals, and they were a few, who were trying to put this information out. This is before the internet. This is the internet really became what it's become, and you were handing out leaflets in the street for a public meeting. That's where we were, and there was no alternative media, and I saw it start to appear. And no one was more delighted than me. Crikey, more people are seeing it, more people are getting it, fantastic. And it kind of culminated in many ways with COVID, because it was so blatant and so in your face and so obvious that they were lying to us. So the opportunity was there to start the process of going expanding more and more into a greater and greater understanding of the scale of the deceit. So the cult thinks we can't put the genie back, but we can stop it going any further. And what I saw and what I've seen is people coming in, a lot of them from the mainstream, to the alternative media, who suddenly are getting the massive algorithm support, they're getting the financial support, and they have basically hijacked the focus of the alternative arena. And, you know, it's been like, as I've observed it, it's been like a barricade has been built around, a perceptual barricade around the center of this new alternative media. And that barricade is focused on the politics, religion, and basically the 5 sense world of the scene. And what it's done is stop that expansion into greater and greater awareness, because everything suddenly has become myopic. Is it Trump? Is it Harris? And as a result, the alternative media, not least in America, but further afield as well, has simply become right-wing politics. That's what it's become. You see, as this alternative media was emerging, people started to grasp that we live in one-party states. That you may have political party A and you may have political party B, and they may have different emphasis and they may have different rhetoric, but when they get into power, the speed of change may be different with the two parties, but basically the direction is exactly the bloody same. So we live in a one-party state, and what you have to do to understand where the power is you have to go one step back into the shadows to that level which is controlling through both sides, that's operating through both sides. I'll give you a quick example of how that works. You have people like Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum saying that we're going into an AI world in which AI will control everything. You're seeing people like Gates saying that, now what a good thing it is. You're seeing people like Ray Kurzweil, the Google executive, talking about they're going to connect AI to the human mind, and then once that's done, the AI will do more and more of human thinking until human thinking as we now know it is negligible. It's what I've been warning about for decades, the hive mind. So that's the hard sell. The hard sell to connecting humans to AI. Then on this side, you've got apparently the antipathy of that, the opposite of that. You've got Elon Musk and such people who are saying, AI, yeah, it could be the end of humanity. Oh yeah, oh yes, Elon, he's on our side. And what is Elon Musk saying? The soft sell, and buying Twitter has massively helped in this soft sell. We must connect the humans to AI, because if we don't, we won't be able to compete with AI and humans will die out. So, okay, Elon, okay, Klaus, what's the outcome that you're both saying must happen? The human brain must be connected to artificial intelligence. And so I'm seeing this everywhere. If you take a step back and you start observing in a dispassionate way, where you don't take sides that cannot be criticized and cannot be wrong, whether it's a religious side or a political side. If you're dispassionate, you just want to know the truth, you start to see how apparent opposites are the same. And so what's happened with the alternative media, and I've got great respect for Alex Jones and what he's done and how he's put a lot of stuff out. Great respect for him. on that level. But what I've seen is Alex being pulled in to this barricade, which is focused overwhelmingly, if not totally at the moment, on politics, religion, and all this stuff. And so we stopped going on this journey of expanding and expanding our understanding because we're so focused on the myopic. And it's stopped the process, which would have gone on, I hoped, to see the scale of the deceit, because we're just stuck in the myopia. And when I say that we were starting to see more and more people see that we're in a one-party state, and it doesn't matter who you vote for, the government still gets in. Now I've seen that alternative media central core regress into the left-right puppet show. And you see, if there's a few of you and you want to control the many, then crucial to that is dividing and ruling the many. It's getting the many, your target population, to fight each other and to be in conflict with each other, because they're so busy fighting each other, they're not looking up and seeing the same hands holding strings connected to both. And so we've got this whole left-right obsession. And the same with the open borders. They've opened the borders to let unlimited, basically, numbers of people from other cultures to come in, because they want the reaction, starting to see it, from the indigenous population, many of which are migrants as well, so that you have this divide and rule. They want constant conflict. And you only go beyond that when you get into these realms of understanding that whether you've got a brown body or a black body or a white body, or whether you have this religion or that religion or that religion, ultimately, they don't want us to know this, we're all expressions of the same consciousness, having different experiences. But instead of that understanding of unity, how we're all actually one consciousness, having different human experiences, they want us to self-identify the I, the me, with the human experience. Not to say, look, I am consciousness having a brief human experience. I am the human experience. That's who I am. Because once they've got people seeing life themselves at that level, divide and rule's a piece of cake. Easy. And that's what we're seeing. And you know, you're only going to get to these, not just these levels of understanding the scale of the deceit, you're only going to get to the levels of really understanding how we can overcome this if you get out of this depressing myopia that the alternative media has got itself into, and to realize that you're looking at just a tiny level of the scale of human control. And that's where they want us. You know, when I said they can't put the genie back in the bottle, but they can stop it going any further, that's what they've done. Now, you know, so what am I saying? Am I saying that all these people in the alternative media central core, because I've got enormous respect for lots of people in the alternative media that operate outside of that barricade, but don't get the algorithmic support, don't get the financial support, don't get the coverage, don't get the promotion. Because that's where, for me anyway, the real alternative media is. But I'm not saying that all these people are knowingly kind of controlled opposition and we're going to go in and do that. There will be one or two that do that, yeah. Pump primers, as I call them. But it's real simple. If you want to hold the barrier, the genie, in a myopia that's not ultimately going to be a problem for you, in fact, it could be a benefit, then all you've got to do is pick out people who have a limited knowledge of the big picture and are focused on what you want them to focus on, you want the followers of the alternative media to focus on, which is politics, right-wing politics basically, religion, etc. And you promote the flipping hell out of them. And they're going on doing what they think is right, but what they're doing without realizing it, like I say, some will, but I think most won't, is they're holding this line, they're holding this focus of myopia. And one of the other things that they're selling this savior, the savior complex. So if we understood the true scale of power that we have, if we get out of the self-identity with the labels of the body and human and into the levels of the true I, the eternal I, consciousness, you start to realize what power you have. Now, what is actually behind this global conspiracy, shall we say, and it's beyond global, knows that power would be the end of the game if we understood the nature of it and the limitlessness of it. So what they're always trying to do is get you to give your power away. They want you to look at other people and say, you do it.
Trump's
you
going to
do
save
it for
us.
me. Yeah. So if you look at people, they don't overwhelmingly do their own research into nature of reality. What they'll do is they'll look to a scientist to tell them what reality is. And that scientist will be part of an orthodoxy that is owned, not least through funding, by this global cult. They will look to maybe a politician to do it for them. Oh, Trump's the savior. We've got to get Trump in and then it'll all be fine. Well, it won't. And so imagine, what did Trump get the last election and the one before that? Something like 70 million votes, was it? It was a massive, massive number. And I do think Trump won the last election, actually, personally. I think, the fact that Biden was supposed to have won it was a bit of a joke, really. I mean, it was almost funny in an ironic sort of way. But 70 million people. So 70 million people say, Donald, you do it. Here's a power, right? What if 70 million people said, we're not cooperating with our own enslavement? We're not going to do it. We don't need these saviors. If you want to see a savior, ladies and gentlemen, find a frickin' mirror and have a look in it. Because there he is, there she is. And it's this hijack, I'll call it, this hijack of the alternative media, which has stopped that and focused on the myopia, is also selling the idea of saviors. What are religions based on? They're based on saviors. Give your power away to your religious hero. Do what the holy books of your religion say. Don't stop and think and come to your own conclusions. Just take it off the peg. And so when I'm researching, I don't have sides. I have things that I believe are right and things I don't believe are right, but I won't have this side and say, well, you are untouchable, you are unquestionable. I don't care if you're a religion. I don't care if you're a political party or a philosophy or a culture or anything. I'm going to listen to every statement you make, and I'm going to decide on that statement if I agree with it or not. And you, who I may mostly not agree with, I'm not going to dismiss everything you say just because you say it. I'm going to listen to it. And if you say something that I think is valid, I'm not going to say, well, no, it's not valid because it's the wrong side. I'm going to say, yeah, I bloody agree with you, mate. And when you do this, what you're doing is you're you're going beyond the reflex action following of a groupthink, and you're coming to your own conclusions. And the other thing I do when I'm researching is I do it on the basis of knowing something that is beyond question, which is one of the few things that is unquestionable. And that is, whatever you think you know, there's always more to know. Always. It's like Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher, is quoted as saying, knowledge is to know you know nothing. That is the meaning of true knowledge. So when I've reached certain conclusions about how the world's manipulated on the level of the scene and through this cult and the secret society network that is this cult, I don't say, oh, I've got it now. I worked it out. No, you go, so what don't I know? What don't I know? What don't I know? What don't I know? And what that does is it keeps you moving deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. And what I'm seeing with the alternative media is the opposite of that. It reaches a certain conclusion. I'm talking about the mainstream of it, the promoted part of it, and it goes into an eddy. And the river, all that potential knowledge, inspiration, awareness is just flowing past, but it's in the eddy. I've got it. I've worked it out. Trump's the savior. And you know, having done this for 35 years, I can't say that is not quite depressing to see, because I saw when the COVID awareness started to break, that there was this great potential to really, really keep that going and expand into greater areas of awareness. Now, a lot of people have, despite, and it's interesting to me when I meet people in the street and whatever, how they, many people anyway, are much further along the road of understanding than this hijacked alternative media. And, you know, there's certain heroes that have been created. One is Trump and the other one is Musk. And we can get into Musk as we go along, if you like, because I've been following him for years and years and years, long before he bought Twitter. And I concluded that this guy is pushing so many elements of this cult agenda that when he bought Twitter, I thought, there's a scam here. I'm just gonna observe for a bit and see what it is. And what was happening before he bought Twitter, and this is all part of this, what we're talking about, this alternative media hijack. You had people within the alternative media that were questioning what he was doing. They were looking at Neuralink, connecting AI technology to the human brain. And they're going, well, hold on a minute, that's the World Economic Forum policy. They were seeing him calling for a carbon tax. Well, hold on a minute, that's the World Economic Forum policy. And so many other things. They were seeing, and this is something we need to get into later, these low orbit satellites being put out there by SpaceX that are firing electromagnetic fields at the Earth to, along with the towers, the 5G towers in the urban areas, etc. They're creating what they call the cloud, this electromagnetic cloud. Well, this is the emergence of the hive mind, which I'd like to talk about in much more detail as we go along. And so they were kind of looking at all these things that Musk was doing. I mean, the electric cars, climate change, and all this stuff. Once he bought Twitter, gone. No more questioning. He's bought Twitter. We're back on Twitter now. And everything was forgotten. I saw people in the alternative media making speeches. Oh, you can't trust Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not our friend. He's taking us towards transhumanism. Same people, doe-eyed. Elon, thank you, Elon, for reposting me. Just because he's bought Twitter.
And given them their voice back.
Well, their voice back in what sense? What's emphasized through that platform is basically the mainstream alternative media, what I'm talking about. And, there's a lot going on that people don't realize. What Musk does is he picks fights here and there with people, like governments or whatever. And he'll do it very publicly. If they say, you need to take this down, right? And he refuses. But often, eventually, he agrees. But it's like, oh, Elon, he's standing for free speech. Well, in the 6 months, let's just go one step back from there. The Twitter before, and these are official figures from data collection on these things. The Twitter before Musk was taking down about 50% of the demands from governments that content was removed from Twitter, right? Under Musk, it's 80%. How many people know that? And then you had the set to with the Australian government over this attack on this preacher in the church, if you remember. And the Australian government said to Twitter X, Musk, you need to take down that content. And what they did was take it down in Australia. And then the Australian government said, no, we want it taken down globally. And there was a set to because, Musk said, well, no, I'm not taking it down globally. I'm taking it down in Australia. And there was this, oh, no, he's standing for freedom of speech. In the 6 months to March of this year, X took down 40,000 pieces of content demanded by the EU globally. And it also turns out that he's been taking down globally other pieces of content demanded were taken down by the Australian government even. So what you do is you pick a fight, you're very public, but in the background, you're taking stuff down at a bigger rate than the previous Twitter. But what's been left up there is the big focus on this alternative media myopia that I'm talking about. And, it's in your face. He appoints a CEO of Twitter, Linda Yaccarino, who is a stalwart of the World Economic Forum of Klaus Schwab. And she says that they have a policy of free speech but not free reach, whereby you can post it, but basically if it's not what is acceptable, they'll make sure hardly anyone sees it. It's called shadow banning. Loads of people are being shadow banned on Twitter X. And then she says, and if something's lawful but awful, you're going to struggle to find it on X. Now, Brian, that is not free speech absolutism. And this is the other thing, and I'll finish on this point, and you can come back. It's a big mistake if you see how things are as how things are always going to be. Because things are not always going to be as they are. And we're going to see more and more censorship as we go along, involving Twitter X. And as said in the reveal, the thing that Musk has is getaway car, while still retaining his I'm a free speech absolutist, is government regulation. where they say to him, take it down or else. And then he goes, I don't want to take it down. I think it's outrageous what they're doing, but I've got no choice. Which is exactly what he's just said about Brazil, because he's just closed the X office in Brazil and actually said basically those words. So there's always this backstop of government regulation that can delete free speech while he can still be the hero. And what I've found interesting about Musk is that he's been saying a few things over the time he's been on Twitter, but he's never been overtly political. He's never kind of jumped on a party political thing. The moment the Trump shooting situation happened, he was immediately in, and now he is absolutely overtly political, supporting Trump, apparently accepting that he would take a government position if it was given to him by Trump. And what's the focus of attention that's happened, not just because of that, but absolutely been accentuated by that? The focus on the answer being politics and the political system. The political system is a scam to persuade you to give your power away for 4 or 5 years before you have another, quote, election, at which you then have the decision on what you're going to give your power away to for the next 4 or 5 years. And while this is happening, the sequence continues to get closer and closer and closer to global dystopia. And I said when the last election in Britain was coming up, that this guy, Keir Starmer, is the cult's man. And when he gets in, because it was obvious he was going to, on 34% of the vote, by the way, democracy, he is going to be ticking off the wish list of the World Economic Forum, an expression of the cult, not the cult itself, but an expression of it, at a very fast rate of knots. And people have been shocked at the speed at which he has done things he said he wouldn't do and not done things he said he would. And if you notice, his election campaign was all about change. Oh, we're standing for change. We want change. Now, anyone that talks about change politically, we want change. Obama, classic, just a repeat of that, is a scam artist. And this is how it works perceptually. You know that most people are not having a great time. And so they want change because they don't want the status quo. So you tell them that you stand for change. You don't tell them what the change is. And then you get in and they realize too late what you meant by change. And that's what we're seeing here. And, you know, I said in the way back, decades ago, that in the books, that the plan is we reach a point, and this relates to the documentary and what happened in the COVID era for a start, but the plan is that we reach the point where no one ever sees or hears anything that is not sanctioned by the state, ultimately sanctioned by the cult that works through the states, plural. And that's what we're now looking at. What's been happening in the UK since Starmer came to power, the cult's man, the cult's gopher, is a blatant and horrific attack on the most basic foundation of what we perceive to be the right to freedom of opinion and freedom of speech. And it's just the beginning. And I don't like the way the alternative media has gone. That doesn't mean, I think, they're all idiots. What I do say is, for whatever reason, they're not seeing the picture. They're not seeing the scale that's happening. They're seeing this, they're not seeing that. And that's what the reveal is all about.
Let's dwell on the UK because that's where we're here.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.
The investment club gives us a chance to think about what wealth really is and having the resources to have the freedom to live your life that you want. It was a whole new world for me to hear about cryptocurrency, an alternative to the traditional banking system that we have. In just 1 month that I had been a part of the investment club, I have listened to so many visionaries with new ideas in the world of music, in the world of finance, in the world of artificial intelligence. When I have questions, there's members of the club willing to support and help and want to see one another gain experience and knowledge. So joining the investment club can bring you the opportunity for peace of mind, wealth, resources, community, and a more joyful time.